Tonight, you will lie in bed and hear a sound you cannot explain. Maybe a creak, maybe a tap against the window, and for just a moment, before your rational mind catches up, something ancient inside you will freeze. Your chest will tighten, your ears will sharpen, you will not be able to stop it. That reaction is not a glitch, it is not anxiety, it is not weakness, it is one of the oldest survival programs ever written into a living creature, and it has been running inside your body for longer than your species has existed. Your brain still thinks you are being hunted, not metaphorically. At the level of neurons, hormones, and millisecond fast threat detection, a significant part of your brain is operating as though a predator could be crouching just outside your line of sight right now, every second of every day. And the reason stretches back millions of years before the first human ever drew breath. For most of your evolutionary history, your ancestors were not apex predators. They were prey, small, slow, soft, hunted by big cats, by eagles, by giant reptiles whose names you will never know. This went on for tens of millions of years, long before fire, long before tools, long before anyone stood upright and looked out over the savannah. Generation after generation after generation. And the ones who survived were not necessarily the strongest. They were the most paranoid. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping the fear circuitry inside the human brain. What he found surprised almost everyone. Your brain does not process a threat and then decide to feel fear. The sequence runs in the opposite direction. Your brain detects something that could be a threat and triggers the full fear response before any conscious processing happens at all. Before you have formed a single thought about what that sound was, your body is already responding. Heart rate rising, pupils dilating, muscles tensing, adrenaline flooding your bloodstream. All of it in under a quarter of a second. None of it required your permission. The structure doing this is called the amygdala. It sits deep inside your brain, about the size of an almond, and it is ancient. Fish have it, reptiles have it, birds have it, you have it. Its job has not changed in hundreds of millions of years. Detect threat, trigger response, survive long enough to reproduce. The amygdala does not think, it reacts. It does not ask whether the sound in the dark is actually dangerous or just the house settling. It hears a pattern that resembles a threat, and it fires, every time, without exception. Researchers call this the low road of fear. The signal from your senses goes directly to the amygdala, bypassing your thinking brain entirely. Your rational mind gets the information second. The alarm has already been sounded. Why build it this way? The answer is simple. If the rustle in the grass is a predator and your ancestor does not react fast enough, your ancestor dies. If the rustle is just the wind and your ancestor panics for nothing, your ancestor is merely embarrassed. One of those errors is recoverable, the other is not. Over millions of years, the lines that survived were the ones permanently biased toward false positives, toward seeing threats that were not there, toward assuming the worst. Every human alive today is descended from the most paranoid survivors of a world that was genuinely trying to kill them. Psychologist Arnie Oman at the Karolinska Institute called this prepared fear. Humans are not equally afraid of all things. Your brain comes preloaded with threat categories it responds to faster, more intensely, and with far more resistance to reason than others. Snakes, spiders, sudden movement at the edge of your vision, the feeling of being watched. These are not fears you learned. They are fears that were selected for because the creatures that felt them survived. Your fear of spiders may have nothing to do with any spider you have ever met. It is a message from ancestors who died when they ignored it. And here is where it gets strange. You cannot easily update the system. You can know completely with total certainty that there is no predator outside your window. You can know this. Your amygdala will still fire because it does not speak the language of facts. It speaks the language of patterns, and the patterns it is scanning for are millions of years old. This is why horror works. A movie can make your heart pound even though you are sitting safely in a chair. The amygdala does not fully distinguish between a real threat and a representation of one. It runs the same program either way. It has been doing this for hundreds of millions of years. Cinema is about 100 years old. Evolution had no time to add an exception. It is also why the back of your neck prickles when you walk alone after dark. Why sudden movement snaps your attention before you have consciously registered anything moved. Why you cannot fully relax with an open door behind you. Why stories about things that watch from the dark have frightened people in every culture, on every continent, throughout all of recorded history. You are not broken. You are working exactly as designed. The design is just very, very old. Tonight you will lie in bed and hear a sound you cannot explain. something ancient will freeze inside you, and now you know what it is. It is not fear, it is memory. It is the accumulated survival wisdom of every ancestor you ever had, encoded into your nervous system, running the same program it has always run. And if you listen closely enough, beneath the creak and the silence that follows, you can almost hear how old you really are.